There's something that I've come to realize about myself during a conversation that I had today. It was actually a very interesting coaching conversation. And I heard myself say something and I observed myself say it. And I immediately, it's not that I regretted it, but I became aware of it. And I was like, hey, is that who I want to be? No. So what happened is I'm in this conversation with someone and they asked for, not really for advice, but I was coaching them and we had a very interesting coaching conversation. And at the end, I shared my perspective from Mick. So not per se as a coach, but I was like, hey, I'm going to step just into Mick as a limited perspective. This is just my thought on it. Take whatever you want to take from it or leave it. And I shared with them my perspective and my truth and all of this. And at the end, I hear myself say, hey, but like, that's just my perspective. Like, I don't know. I hear myself say it just like I just now. And I became aware of it. And I was like, what am I doing? Why am I devaluing myself so much? Yes, this is my perspective. Fuck yeah, this is my perspective. This is who I am. And this is how I show up to the world. And this is what I think of this. Full stop. And I became aware of that. I was like, this is so interesting. I believe there are so many people out there who hold themselves back from fully being themselves, from owning themselves fully, from being able to sit there and being like, hey, yes, and this is my perspective. And this is so valuable. Full stop. Not a because, not an and, not a but, no explanation. This is who I am and this is valuable. And I love that. And this was such a big takeaway for me. And it reminded me of how much I'm still on this journey too. Right? I know a lot about authenticity, freedom, and self-confidence. However, I know so much about that because I'm still going through the journey myself. I'm still coaching myself. I'm still aware of who I am and becoming more aware of this as I expand. And this was not the full point of the video. What I'm going to make this video about is a story as to how I got this way. How is it that I so easily can shift myself? How is it that I so easily can expand myself and improve upon myself and become a better person every day? How do I do that? And this all started because of something that we call spirituality. I went to see an energetic therapist and she basically completely changed the idea that I had about my current reality at that time. I didn't believe in angels. I had never heard of energy. I didn't even know what chakras were, right? And because I went to see her and I went back a few times, she really opened me up to this new perspective. Or should I say, I allowed myself to open myself up to this perspective because of her. That was awesome. And I started to read books about all of this. There's this big cliche that's going around about spirituality. We think it's all woo-woo. We think that it's bullshit is what I wanted to say. People look at it with a certain judgment. We feel like it is a certain way. And that's interesting. It's very interesting. And I used to believe that too. I used to believe it was stupid. I used to think that I was different. I used to think that I had to hide parts of myself in order for me to be accepted. I felt that if I fully tapped into this spiritual side of me, people would laugh at me, people would understand me, people would judge me, all of those things, which would eventually lead into me living a very lonely life and dying. That was my eventual fear, right? That's where it comes from. And the great thing about this whole spiritual journey isn't the meditation. It's not the standing with your bare feet on the grass. It's not the worshiping your ancestors or whatever these people preach. It's not about the fact that I believe in angels that my life changed. The biggest life changer and game changer that I got from introducing myself to spirituality and being open to this was my big development of my curiosity. It was my openness to expansion. It was my realization of my rigidity in my identity. Because of spirituality, I came to realize that I portray myself to the world in a certain way. I have my identity, I have my ego, right? And they all preach about how you should let go of your ego and all of that. I don't agree with that. We're playing this game and we have an ego in this game. If we shouldn't have had an ego in this game, or if the purpose is to transcend that ego, then that would have been either super clear. And for some people, the person is to transcend the ego. For sure, we can call it that way. But we have an ego. We have an ego, keep it, cherish it, do with it whatever you want to do with it. Now, what I just feel like saying is that my journey as a human became better, not per se because of spirituality, but because of what spirituality gave me, which was this realization of who I am. Who am I? How do I show up to the world? In what way am I portraying myself? Where are my boundaries? All of those things. And this is priceless to me. I became more conscious of how I was showing up to the world. And the moment that you have this consciousness of who you are, you get to be in charge of the results that you're getting from life. Some people, they ask themselves this question, why is this happening to me? Oh, why is this happening to me? Or how do I change this? I can't change this. All of those things. And all of that stems from a lack of clarity of self-knowledge. It stemmed from a lack of authenticity, honesty, self-confidence, freedom, all of that. And spirituality is one of those tools that allowed me to step more into being who I truly am. This is interesting because of spirituality, I got to become more conscious of who I am. There are moments, and meditation does this too, right? There's a bunch of tools out there that do this, but for me, it was really this search for what's out there, what happens when we die, all of those things. Who am I? Who am I in this world? What even is this? What are we doing here? What are we playing? Like, why am I here? All of those questions. And they all led me to this certain consciousness, this conscious approach to life. And I'm talking extremely conscious. And this consciousness led me to look at my own identity and ask myself, is that who I want to be? If I am like this, these are the results that I'm getting. Now, I say I want different results. So who do I have to be in order to get those different results? And from that perspective, the game suddenly becomes easy. You get to make choices from who you truly are and from the results that you truly want. I want to travel. What kind of person does that? And we get to step into this new perspective. And because we lost that rigidity around our identity, because we stopped holding on to this is who I am and I can't change that, and we're open to this and we're allowing, we get to change ourselves. And all of that I got because of spirituality. And now other people get this through coaching, for example, through working with me. Other people get it through reading books, self-development, all of this stuff. These are all great. And for me, it was spirituality. Now, what I'm feeling that this video is going into is this idea of the rigidity of our identity. What makes us who we are? Many of us are very stuck in the idea of who we are. We are a certain way. Our ego is quite big. We feel like I am this way. I am a therapist. I like to eat my breakfast in the morning at 7 a.m., 2 slices of bread, 2 slices of cheese, glass of milk. That's what I do. That's who I am. And very soon, when I got on the spiritual path, I realized what I was doing. And let's stick with this breakfast example. I started to look at the way I was having breakfast. Doesn't matter what I ate. Let's say I ate muesli and yogurt. That was what I ate in the morning, and 2 glasses of water. Now, I got to look at that and I started to become aware of my default. Apparently, this was my default. This was how I had been raised. With all the beliefs that I had, that was the choice that I made. To, in the morning, every single morning, eat muesli with yogurt and drink 2 glasses of water. That was me. And now I got to look at this behavior and I got to be like, oh, interesting. Whenever I eat this, I notice that I'm hungry at 11 a.m. Is that who I want to be? No, because I'm still in high school and we have lunch at 1:30. So I might want to eat a little bit more in the morning. So now what I'm going to do is I'm not just going to eat muesli and yogurt. I'm also going to eat crackers with hummus. That's also what I'm going to eat. And this is such a silly example, but it's such an interesting way of what happened because of spirituality. I got to look at the results that I was getting, the actions that I was taking, and I got to change the actions that I was taking in order for me to change the results that I was getting. And this is valuable as fuck. And I'm really tapping into this new version of me, changing that. I have realized that I used to hold myself back on fully being myself. And I'm probably still doing this in some area of my life. And I'm really on this journey towards changing that and to becoming more conscious of who I am. Who I am determines the results that I'm getting. And the person that I want to be is someone who feels more confident about who he is and what he's got to say to the world. And this video is helping me to bring that about, right? To bring that result about. I want to give you a few funny exercises to help you become more aware of the identity that you've shaped for yourself. One of them already, and this one is the best. You should try this out if you have a family, or if you're part of a family, or if you're ever eating with your family. Now, we humans, and you're going to recognize this, we humans have certain fixed spots in terms of, I like to sit in this chair, my dad's sitting in that chair, somebody else is sitting in that chair, my sister's sitting in this chair. That's the table arrangement. We do that every single evening. For you, it might be my kids are sitting over there, I'm sitting in this chair, whatever. Maybe you've noticed it when you went to a certain retreat and you had your meditation pillow and that was there in the corner and that was your meditation pillow. Maybe you went to a seminar one day and you sat on this chair, you all had a break and you came back and everyone sat on the same chair again. It's human behavior. We love our routine. We love our comfort. We love being safe because we realize, hey, when I sat in that chair, this was the result I get. I felt safe. I felt accepted. I enjoyed my dinner, or I enjoyed watching this webinar. I'm going to do that again because this sitting on this chair guarantees safety for me. So what I'm challenging you to do is to look at that and become aware of that. In what way am I basing my decisions and actions on previously made decisions and actions. In what way am I acting out of habit? And then to change that, go sit somewhere else. And it's very interesting because I love doing this. I remember I went to a workshop recently and we were all sitting in these chairs. And what happened was we went to have a break. We all came back. I sat 2 chairs to the right. And everyone who was on my row got super confused because they were all like, what's happening? I completely lost my chair. Like everyone's sitting somewhere else. I don't know what to do. And I could see the confusion on their faces. And it's so, I love playing with this. And I've been doing this ever since I got into my spirituality journey. I tried to never sit in the same spot when having dinner. I tried to do different things because doing different things gives you different results. And so if you want different results, do different things. And so that's my first challenge already. If you have a certain habitual ritual in terms of the way that you have dinner or where you're sitting or which spots in the house that you like to sit, or on which side of the bed you sleep, change it. I remember being a kid and I loved it. It felt like I had a different room when I put my pillow where my feet were and my feet where my pillow used to be and sleep like that. I loved that. I had a complete different reality. And that's how you play with your reality in that way. Because I think it's important that we get to be creative with this. We get to have fun here. Let me give you another example. Start your day tomorrow with a glass of wine or champagne to celebrate the day. Because why not, right? Next time you go out for dinner, start with dessert and end with the first course. Because why not? It's all these things that we're doing out of habit. How often have we stood still and become conscious as to why am I making this choice? Why am I choosing to be who I am choosing to be right now? Because the moment that we become conscious, that's when we can really get to shape our identity. I am being like this because I choose to be like this, not because it's my default setting. I am sitting here in this chair because I chose to sit in this chair. Now, another example would be to wear shorts on a very wintry day. Go outside without a jacket. Go outside with a jacket on if it's super warm. Change who you are. Change and be flexible. It's a very interesting journey, and really this spirituality has made me super aware of who I am, and not just who I am, but also who I choose to be, right? It made me aware of who I am, and then it made me question that. Like, am I choosing to be this way? Whenever I tell someone, oh, but that's just my perspective, I now get to become aware of that. I become conscious of this habit I'm in. I become conscious more easily of my default behavior because of this journey of spirituality. And I'm very much inviting you to find your permission slip in this. Like for you, it might be reading more books that makes you conscious of who you are. For other people, it might be watching movies. For other people, it might be talking to coaching, for example, like my clients. Every time we talk, they change. Why? Because I make them aware of who they are and then question if that's who they want to be. And this goes with everything in life. If you're procrastinating in a way that is a decision, and this stems from maybe trauma or whatever story we want to create around it, but in essence, it's about who are you? Is that who you want to be? If not, change it. It's that simple. I'm very grateful that during this coaching conversation, I became aware of another way I'm limiting myself. I became conscious of the way that I behave. And now I get to ask myself, why am I doing that? I don't know. I learned this. Well, right now I'm making a different decision. And this video has been valuable as fuck.